What's up, you all? This is Hussein Nasser from IGeometry, and today we continue with our ArcObject programming with .NET. Let's pick up from the last episode. In the last episode, we managed to introduce the iFeature class, an iFeature cursor, and iFeatures interfaces. So we have been able to populate this drop-down list of venues of all the features of all the restaurants inside the food and drinks venue. So when I select this layer, all restaurants in this layer will be populated. So we said that we will fix few things here. We said that we will display, instead of the object ID, which is the primary key of this, we'll display the name of that restaurant. So first fix is this. We need to display the venue name. So here I have a definition query I have just to clear, so I can show you. Let's just clear that. Now we have to display the venue name here. So instead of ugly numbers, we should get nice names here, meaningful. So for that, we will have to dig deep into the feature object here, and we'll learn some properties of the feature, how to get the fields, the individual fields, how to read individual cells values from here. It's pretty easy, straightforward. It's nothing to worry about. And the next thing that we will do is that we use this. If you remember, this is the filter that filters out on the map using the definition query that we did in the second episode, I guess. I remember correctly. So when I click on any of these buttons, the map changes with the corresponding category. I want to do that, plus I want to populate this drop-down list with the corresponding category. So when I click on cafes, I want to see only cafes in this drop-down list. When I click on diners, I should see 3 records of diners, and so on. Are you ready? Let's do this. So let's go ahead and open our Express as administrator. Let's go ahead, run, and we'll open our Bestaurants. Remember, guys, you can get the latest code from the previous episode. It's in the description. It's always there. So you don't have to rewrite the code yourself, but you can just directly get the code. I've been providing it for you. So this was the last code that we wrote. Again, refer to the previous episode for more descriptions. So let's do some changes here. First, I want to bring this up. I want to bring this down right here. So yeah, let's just use some of these nice controls in the Visual Studio. It's called Group Box. Where's the Group Box? There you go. So it's nothing. It's just just a container of your controls. It's nothing fancy. You can use a panel if you like, but I'd like to use a group box because it has this nice border. So let's go ahead and name that category. So this will be my category, and the moment I select the category, I need to populate the venues with the right categories. Now, be careful that all these functions, all these buttons have one single function, and it handles all these buttons. Remember, we have done this in the second episode. You can go back there and learn how did we do this. And the sender is the object, the button, and the tag was the subtype code for that particular category. And we wrote a function called setDefinitionQuery, which changes the map view. All right, so we need to write some more code here, obviously. And that code will be populating the venues with the right category. So how can we do this? This we didn't yet discuss. It's called something called a query filter. So we remember in the previous episode that we used the feature class to search for features, to search for records in that feature class. In our case, the feature class is the layer and food, the food and drink layer. So the feature class here contains this table which has all these records. And if you notice in the previous episode, we passed nothing here, which is null basically. This query filter is the key to answer this question. So what I'm gonna do here is I need to get the layer, I need to cast the layer to a feature layer and get the feature class from the feature layer and then query that feature class. So all this code is already written for me. So I'm gonna copy it because I don't want to rewrite it again. This is how to get the feature class. The whole code is to get a feature class here. What we will write is, and better yet, let's write just a function, or I'm just debating myself what to do here. You know, let's just write the whole function there, and then we'll organize it later. So when I click on this, we'll write populate the drop down list with the venues for the particular category, which is the tag in this case. So for that, we need to paste this code to get the layer, get the selected layer, search. And here's the magic begins. So for this, we need to create something called a query filter as IQueryFilter. So we initiate a query filter object. This is a new object. It's nothing. And in that, we create an instance of that object. And in this query filter, there's two properties here which is of importance to be specific. There's the subfield. What does subfield does? The subfield, it says, okay, when you call the search function, what fields do you want to return in this search, in this feature cursor? Having this as empty basically means return every field there. So go ahead and make the effort to query and fetch me all the data for that. And as you can see, as I am saying it out loud, it takes a lot of effort to do this. So you have to be careful what to put here. Leaving this empty is generally a bad idea because you don't want everything. Unless you're developing a testing application where you want to do things quick and dirty, you know. For now, I'm gonna leave it empty. But remember, in the coming episodes, we're gonna be careful for our programming, for the performance. Now we don't much care about performance. Apparently, our data is like 20 records, so it doesn't make a difference. The second property was an important, it's where clause. So the where clause, we have done this before. If you remember in the definition query, there is a field called category equal the category code. So this is exactly the same thing. So what I will do here is basically set, this is the query. But there's nothing called category code here. The category code is actually the tag, right? You can create a variable here or you can just do that. It will work as well. So this is my where clause. This will create a filter that says, hey, give me only those categories which has this code. And this code is basically saved in the tag. If you remember, we saved each code in the tag here. So this is 1, bars are 3, lounge are 4, just to save some few lines of code, you know. So now we have our filter. Still, having this like this, we will get the whole thing. So we will need to replace the nothing with the query filter we just built. And believe me guys, that's it. This little guy here, we will discuss it in the coming episodes. I don't want to confuse you right now, but this is a very important parameters for performance. It is extremely important, guys. You have to know what value you have. You cannot just use false or true. You can introduce bugs if you use true here. But if you use the recycling to be true, at the right time, you can gain up to 10. Believe me, guys, I'm not exaggerating here. You can get up to 10 times the performance if you use this parameter to set it true. But you have to be careful because it might cause you a lot of problems because you have to know what you're doing. So this we will discuss in the future episodes, I guess, when we come to performance and tweakings. Not now. Let's just leave this to false. So to stay safe, keep this false. If you know what you're doing, we have to set this to true. But again, we should know when. But to stay safe, just say false. Now, for now at least. So again, I think we had wrote this code before, right? We got the cursor, and the cursor is already where? We written this code here, I guess. Yeah. So there is this code. Give me the next feature, clear the venues, and populate the object ID. Right? Seems a duplicated code, right? So we need to clean this up. So as you may know now, you might have figured this already. I don't like to duplicate code, so we can do so many things here. We can write a function to take a cursor and populate the venue, right? So let's call it populate venues. Let's do that. Private sub populate venues. Okay. So this takes a feature cursor, and let's cut this and paste it here. It will take a feature cursor and will just do clear that combo box. You can pass the combo box here, but it doesn't make sense for me because the function names is populate venues. So let's name this populate the venues drop down list with the venues from a cursor. Right, this is very important. Now we've done this, we just simply call the feature cursor. Populate the venues. This is not rocket science, guys. You might actually know this. So when I let's make this indent. Yeah, that's much better. So when I double click here, I can delete this code now. Just paste. This variable is not used. I can remove it. So now I have hit 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay. Nice. This looks nice. Still, I think it should work. So let's compile that. Still, we didn't fix the naming problem. We are still displaying the object ID, but that's why we combine this into one function. So it looks, we can only change one place in that case. So right. Our red rabbit. Select this guy, and everything will be populated here. And I click restaurants. Nice. It's actually not that nice, but these numbers are. We have to show the actual names of these restaurants. So what are the names of the restaurant? Let's use the identify function, and this guy is 13. It's Mercy's bar, 13. So that's true. The other guy is is what? It's 23. So that's right. Bars Dutch. Nice. Let's go ahead and do the naming. So we go here, open. Now, instead of the object ID, I want to display not the object ID, but something more useful. So here is what we want to change. Right? It is on the populated venue, so it's one place. So do something. Let's do something. Let's do something. So the feature object has something called value. The value gives you the value, of course, of a given index. So when I say value of 0, this will give you, I keep closing this, I don't know why. So the value of 0 gives you the first column value. The value of 1 gives you, so let's say I am grabbing this feature. Value of 0 gives you the object ID. Value of 2 gives you this. Value of 3 gives you the venue's name. Value of 4 gives you the venue's website, and so on. Again, so I can say it's a 0, 1, 2. To get the name, I can say value of 2. Instead of this. So let's say them as name as a string equal this, right? And then we'll use the name to add it here. Now this will work, okay? And I'm gonna prove it to you that it will work, okay? However, I can prove this to you that it will work, but this is a very bad idea. Why? Because never hard code the column positions in your code. It's an extremely bad idea. Why? Because these things can really easily change. Anyone can change them. Someone can go to your database, delete a field, decide to add a new field and rename a field again. So these positions are not fixed. They are not written on stone. So you have to use the actual name. You have to use the actual field name to get the value, location. So there is a nice function. So let's go again for fields. And this we have the venue name, venue website description, and here is the physical name of the database, of the field in the database, basically. And this is just the alias name. This is how it looks like. This is not the actual name in the table in the database. This is the actual name. It's called name. Just that's it. Plain name. So there is a nice function which you give this value as a string, and it will return you. It will return for you the position of this field, whether 0, 1, or 2, or 3, or 4. So, and this function is called, so let's declare a variable here, dim index, okay, as integer. The index is, in this case, it will be number 2, but this is nothing. Now, I will use this function, which is located inside the feature. It's called fields. Go to the fields, and there is a function called find field. You give me the string name, and I will give you the index location of that field, and then you can do that. This is by far the bad design I have really been struggling with ESRI. I don't like this. I don't know why they didn't overload this method. Maybe because it's a COM object, so you cannot overload this. But look at the bright side, guys. You can, having this to do this work, I understand it's a pain in the neck that you have to do. You have to look up a field in the position and use the position to get the value. It's a lot of work. But the good side is that you can use this to pay some performance penalties, to avoid some performance penalties and get really some good performance gains. Yeah, you can get really performance gains in this code. So for here, again, this doesn't sound so important now, but as your features grow and as your code grow, this might see. So in this code, I'm just gonna point it out. I'm not gonna change it. So what does this do is every loop, you're gonna call this function, and this function we're gonna search through the entire feature class for the field name, get the position, get the index, get that value, and populate it. So every time he's doing some loop here. There is a loop here. So if if you are a computer science guy, this is a big O of n, right? So if you remember these computer science geeky stuff, I like this stuff. This is a big O of n, and this is another big O of n. So this is a big O of n squared. So you have to be careful with this. It's not mandatory, and it's not a very big deal now, but we're gonna change. And for example, we can just take this out of the loop because this is fixed, right? This is gonna be fixed. So why do I have to look for it every time in the loop? So I can look for it outside the loop once and use it to directly point to the location. So you understand the concept. So let's go ahead, close this, and build. This will give you the name. If you try to use the venue's name like this, you'll get an error because there is nothing in the database called venue's name. So you have to be careful to get the actual physical name, the way that I showed you. حبيبي ولا أنا باله شوقي إليه. Okay, guys, so that's nice. That is actually nice, huh? So when I click restaurants, these are the restaurants: Amara, and Lopez, Coney's, Amara. In the next episode, we'll try to add the ratings, like stars, and so many nice things. Believe me, guys, you're gonna enjoy it. So this looks good. In the next episode, we'll do something very nice. We'll add a flash button here. When you click here, the actual restaurant will flash in front of you. So let's see. I think everything is in place. So very big episode coming next. Stay tuned, guys. Stay awesome, and goodbye.